when you started to get into journalism, when did that happen? Like you talked about Heidi MacDonald, and I want to know what happened with you starting to write for Comic Speed.
I think it started when I was in middle school because I used to write for the newspaper in middle school.
Oh, that's cool.
I was an editor for the yearbook, and I loved Spider-Man, and I loved, Lois Lane and Clark Kent. These were two characters that were like journalists and respectful people that I like embodied a lot. And I used to live across the street from the daily newspaper when I was a kid. So whenever I passed by, I would just like gawk at it. And when I got to high school, I vowed to myself every day when I would take the bus from school, because it was right across the street, like, I'm going to work at that newspaper. And I went in when I was 16, and they're like, you have to be 18. So I shelved it. And when I turned 20, I became a newspaper delivery man, because there are no newspaper delivery boys anymore, or girl. There's a lot of just people in sweatpants at 2:30 in the morning picking up hundreds and hundreds of newspapers and throwing them in houses or having to scale. I never realized people in apartments, a lot of elderly folks that still read the papers, they're in like apartments. So you got to go up 4 flights of stairs and put one newspaper on somebody's doorknob. And while I was doing that at 3 o'clock in the morning, I promised myself I would write a front page news story. And that was at the same time I was writing for comicsbeat.com, and I was working for a bank that I will not name, Citibank. And and I then got a job as a newsroom assistant, and I kept badgering the editor to let me write a story, and they let me write for them. And then eventually I got to write a front page story about how it was the first day of summer in Tucson, Arizona that broke 100.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I only got one, and I was like,
you did it, though.
Yeah, I did it. I did what I set out to do. And then I ended up becoming an online editor for an alternative weekly called the Tucson Weekly. And I got to write about whatever I want for almost 2 years. And that was, an unbelievable experience. And that really helped me become a writer. And I was writing about comics, local comics, the cons. I was writing about Free Comic Book Day every year. And trying to highlight all the stores that were doing events in Tucson. So yeah, it just kind of was something that was always around me, and something that I always was, kind of trying to figure out. So, and even to this day, I write for Sci-Fi Wire. So on the weekends, you could see what I'm doing for them. I mean, LA's not a cheap place. So
yeah.
But that's also a great experience, because I could still remember and kind of figure out how to get news out to the masses. So,
of course.
Yeah.
One article at a time, and one email at a time,
right,
and getting the word out there. But that's super exciting that you were able to like follow that dream and write for newspapers.